Start off with Vinny O'Connor from Sky Sports.
I don't need to introduce myself. Scott, really good to see you. First of all, why now the right time to step back into management, and why Burnley?
Well, I think many reasons, really. I've probably took some time to reflect and had some much needed time in the sense of where I was. It's been a very hectic run for me from playing career to then obviously managing in the thick of it all. So certainly the rest I've took in the last year or so has been very helpful. And then moving on to this football club, really, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for me personally, in that sense, to get back into the cutting edge of it. And where I see myself at this present moment in time is in the place of a real freshness about me to go and get on with the job here and what's needed to be done.
When you say time to reflect, what did you need to reflect on?
Well, many things. Look, when you're in the heat of the battle and you're in amongst it as a coach or as a player, and you're on that treadmill, sometimes you don't have a bigger view, because as a coach and as a manager, sometimes you're on it and you're going some, really. So I think it's probably just give me some time to get off the treadmill as such terminology, and just to reflect a little bit, things we've done well, things that need to be improved, build up the energy and the desire which I have, and the pure passion in me to go and do the job that I know I can do and I want to do, really. So it was a big part of it, really.
In that time, were there other offers? And if so, can you expand on that? Can you give us any indications to where those offers came from, and also why it wasn't quite right for you at that point as well?
There was offers, yes, but like I said, it wasn't the right time for me, really. It was I wasn't in a position at that moment in terms of what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go in that sense, and get back into work, really. So I wanted that time to, like I said, just recharge a little bit and just go over things in my head and get to the point where I am currently now, really, and excited, enthusiastic about this chance and this opportunity I have now.
I think you said over the last couple of days as well, you've been speaking with Burnley for some time. So can you tell us about those conversations and what you've been able to glean from them?
Well, it was a long process, I must admit. It was a real thorough process in terms of to get to this position in that sense. And I think, to be fair, looking back, that was probably a real positive as well, because getting to know ownership a little bit more, instead of having a real understanding of the football club and where they position and where they see the football club, and just getting that real intimate understanding of someone was very crucial for me. So yeah, like I said, it was a long process, 2, 3, 4 weeks, really, and them conversations were happening over that period of time.
Obviously, your first role in England since leaving Bournemouth, and I'm going to ask you about whether you feel you come here with a point to prove. It seems almost silly, given that you obviously got Bournemouth promoted, you got Fulham promoted as well, so you've got a track record there.
Yeah, look, I think as a coach or anyone that sits in the chair, you've always got something to prove, and for sure, you know, I come here with 2 promotions with 2 different football clubs, but ultimately this is a new challenge for me. And yeah, I think we've all got something to prove. This is a team what have obviously been relegated last year. The season before had real success in terms of getting out of this division. So I think it's not just me in that sense. I think it's everyone who's associated with a football club with something to prove this year, and that's exactly what we need to do.
You kind of touched on it there as well. When Vinny came in, obviously he took Burnley straight back to the Premier League as well. Is that the bare minimum that's expected of you, that you expect as well?
Yeah, that's the aim. That's the aim. And, you know, Vinny did an incredible job in that sense, and has left the good bones of a football club in that sense. He's obviously gone on now, but for sure, you know, we have a very good squad here. And of course, I've been in the building for 2 days, so as you can imagine, there's a lot of work to do in terms of understanding things and seeing the general dynamics of the team. But for sure, the aim this year is for us to be competing at the right end of the table and trying to take this football club into the Premier League.
In terms of that work that you've got to do between now and the start of the season, what is the priority now?
Always main priority is the team. Always is the team and obviously getting to know the players and building up that relationship with the players. And I think that's the main priority as such. Like I said, you know, you come into a new organisation, and understanding people's roles is very important. The main priority and my focus really is on the group of players that we have here at this present moment in time, and developing them, really.
And adding to it as well, what do you feel you need to do in the transfer market? Is there a balancing to be done with that squad still, despite the quality that's here?
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's a big squad. We've got a lot of numbers at this present moment in time. And again, at this present moment in time, I've had one training session, and as you can imagine, I'm just overseeing things at this moment, and that's going to be a process that I'm going to have to undertake. I'm going to have to do it quick. Of course, I am. We're now 5 weeks away from the start of the season, but I think that's going to be a process which I'm working towards, really.
I take it though, part of the conversations that you had as well would be there will be that backing to move in the transfer market as and when needed.
Yeah, there'll be that support if needed, and when, I'm sure there will be that support, and I think that's been proven to be fair of ownership with Vincent as well, really. So yeah, I'm sure that will be the case.
A couple of final things from me, and just checking on the backroom staff as well, because obviously Henrik's come in, I think, just before you arrived. So what part did you play in that decision? But also as well with Craig Bellamy, Michael Jackson, what's happening with them?
Again, I'd probably revert back to the staff who are here at the football club. I've come in to obviously work with these staff, really. I brought one member of staff with me in Jonathan Hill, who's been with me since Spurs under-18s, Fulham and Bournemouth. And like I said, yeah, the rest are here for us to work together and obviously try and be successful.
Continuing on the theme as well, in terms of probably not being able to have this opportunity, but about Weghorst, I just wonder if you've been able to have a chat with him. Obviously, England going head-to-head with the Netherlands as well. He's made an impact, obviously, again as a sub.
Yeah, I'm not giving you much because I haven't, obviously. So, and obviously, he's away in the Euros, so the last thing that I would want to do is bother him in any way. I think he's got a bigger game and the bigger things to focus on. So he's a player that I know, I'm familiar with. He's our player. Looking forward to, obviously, once the Euros finish, him to meet him and obviously be part of it.
You probably want him to go out in the semi-finals though, don't you?
Might help.
Cheers, guys.
Hi, Scott. Shamoon Hafez from BBC Sport. Welcome.
Thank you.
During that time off that you've had, what did you learn about yourself, about the game as well?
Well, just a number of things, really. And I think the most important thing is obviously just rationalising things a little bit in terms of understanding certain things and obviously game dynamics and the general process of how you structure things. There was elements of that as well. Spent some time with some different coaches as well to see how they work and then processes. So yeah, the main thing was in terms of just taking some air, really. Just needed some oxygen in terms of just clearing everything, spent some time with the family and getting ready for, like I said, the position I'm in now.
Those two promotions with Fulham and Bournemouth that have been widely spoken about, are the foundations here to make an immediate return back to the Premier League?
Well, definitely. Look, I think a team that come out of the Premier League and are relegated, and I've had that in two situations. The first situation was very identical to this one. Fulham spent money the previous year, got relegated, and obviously it was their first season. Different dynamics when I went into Bournemouth. This was a team that was their second season in the Championship. So obviously there was probably a different job in that sense, but maybe the aim wasn't to get automatic promotion like we did. Maybe there was a bit more of an understanding of that, but we managed to obviously go up automatic. So, but for sure, this is going to be very similar. Coming out of the Premier League, there's an aim now to be up and around and try and get this team back in the Premier League where we feel we belong, where I feel I belong, where the players feel they belong, fans, everything about the football club, really. So that's going to be the aim.
Did you speak to anyone else in the game about whether this was the right opportunity for yourself?
No, I didn't speak to anyone really. People closest to me, of course, but people closest to me in not on a professional level, really, more just family and stuff like that. So I didn't need to speak to anyone, to be quite honest with you. I have absolutely no doubt that this is the right opportunity for me and this is a perfect fit for me. And like I said, I'm relishing that, really.
There's been a mixed reaction from the fans, it's fair to say, who are unsure about yourself. Were you aware of that, and is there work to do to win them around?
I wasn't aware of. I'm not aware of that because I don't engage in the social media aspect of things. But look, I understand the way football is, and certainly understand how things in social media can transpire in that sense, and what narrative can be set. look, all I can say is I said it in my first interview. I'm a young boy out of inner city London, off a council estate, and there's a drive and ambition in me which I think correlates something to what the people here correlate to. And while there's an element of me which is, there's a tactical element, there's a real detail element in terms of the way their teams play, there's also some core values that I stand for and I represent, really. And I think, like I said, when I look at the people here, I think they represent that as well. And I will put my absolutely everything, heart and soul, in this job to get this club to the Premier League. And there will be no stone left unturned in terms of the work ethic, in terms of the team they're going to see. At times, there's going to be a little couple of bumps along the way. At times, maybe it ain't going to be the most fluid, lovely football. That's just part of professional sport. But the one thing you can guarantee, that this team will have big hearts, big souls. There'll be a passion about this team that represent the local people here and represent me. I'm not just saying it as in the local people, I'm saying me as well. That's what I stand for. So while I get there may be some different opinions on that, that's down to me and that's down to the group of players to change them. I'm hoping that we can do that.
You mentioned the staff. What are you then going to stick to what you know, the beliefs that you've had that's been successful for you in the past?
Yeah, for sure. I have to go on them beliefs because I've had success. I have 3 full seasons as a manager. That's all I've had, 3 full seasons. My first full season was at Fulham. I was 41 years of age, and I managed a group of players there and a team to get promoted. We then had the disappointment of a relegation in the Premier League and the dynamics what comes with that. And if we want to put context around that, of course, there was elements that maybe I've definitely learned from and would change. I then left there and went on to a team that has had the second year in the Championship. And the challenges again and the dynamics of that, I was successful. We got up automatically. That came fundamentally from a game model, a philosophy in how I see us playing football. I've not made that philosophy up in any reason. I'm just working on experiences and the success I've had. So for sure, it goes back to the question in terms of what have I done in the last year. The last year I have reflected on certain aspects of that. So while of course there's going to be adaptations in terms of certain aspects, there's going to be a large chunk of that it is going to be kept. And the reason being is because I don't want to change it. We got promoted again. There's elements that you take out of it, but ultimately, for large parts, that will be the case.
So just finally, lots been said about the style of play for Gareth Southgate's England this summer. They've kept going into the semi-finals now. You've achieved success as well. Is that fair, the sort of criticism that coaches get for the maybe pragmatic approach?
Yeah, I don't think regarding that question, I don't know whether you're suggesting that I take a pragmatic approach. And again, if we want to put context on it, because I get that people in this day, we can just set a narrative out there, but put context on it and go deeper into it and look deeper into that. I don't think that would be the case. I think that there's a fine line, and I've sat in Gareth's shoes. Well, I haven't sat literally in his shoes, but I understand the dynamics of that, and certainly tournament football. I personally think he's done an incredible job in terms of what he's done, and we're through to the semi-finals of the Euros. Now, of course, I'm sure Gareth will be the first. There's elements where you want to play better, you want to do better, but ultimately there needs to be full credit in terms of the pressure cooker him and that team are in, and an understanding of that. And I get in life now, probably from the outside on certain things, we don't really have an understanding or reflect on someone else's situation. But for me, nothing but the utmost praise in terms of getting this team to the semi-finals of the Euros, really.
Thank you. If you just go to Andy and then Carl and then Dan.
Morning, Scott. Andy from BBC Lancashire.
Morning,
When you saw this job was available, did it immediately spring to mind that this would hopefully be the opportunity to bring you back into football?
Yeah, it probably did. And yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Obviously, when it did arise, it was certainly an opportunity with great history, and obviously looking from afar, from when Sean was here, obviously Vincent as well, and the journey that the football club's been on was definitely one I looked at and thought it's quite exciting.
Do you thrive under the pressure of taking a team up to the Premier League? You've done it twice. It must be one of the most stressful things that, in a lot of occasions, if you don't get there, there could be huge repercussions if you stay in the Championship too long, Scott. Do you actually thrive under the pressure of that?
Yeah, no, I thrive on that for sure. I want to be at the cutting edge of it. And normally you find in life when you're at the cutting edge of things, no matter what you do, there's big risks and big pressure with that. But I wouldn't want it any other way. And like I said, Andy, that, you know, I think I've probably been amongst that from the start of my coaching career. I came out of football straight into a Fulham job, which was have to get promoted. And I was right at the cutting edge of that, and the pressure will come with that. And the same at Bournemouth. But these are elements that I wouldn't want any different, to be quite honest with you. And while at times very difficult, of course it is, it's exciting, and yeah, I really like that.
And I know you've been in here 2 minutes, but when you look at the facilities, you look at the players on a list of paper that you've got, I mean, is everything set up here to go immediately back, would you say?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The facilities in terms of where the club is, that's definitely the case. Of course, the dynamics of being relegated and what happens between now and transfer window ending or whatever that may be, there's different variables, of course there is, but for sure this club is a Premier League football club in that sense, and we need to aim and endeavour and try our damn hardest to get back there. And there will be a challenge, of course there will, but that's exactly what we're going to endeavour to do.
Hi Scott, Carl Markham from the Press Association. Just a couple quick ones for me. You said in your year out of the game, you spoke to a few coaches. Are they sort of former acquaintances that you've always go to, or did you seek out new sort of opinions and perspectives?
Yeah, just spent some time. I spent some time with Thomas Tuchel during that period, really, just speaking and chatting, watching him work. So yeah, just different elements, speaking to different people who obviously I know, or previous managers who I've bumped into. A large chunk of that was, like I said, was probably with Thomas.
What did you get? What was the most important thing you got from Thomas, do you think? Can you summarise that? Is it possible?
Well, I think the main thing is he's probably been in my position at that moment. I was in work for, maybe not as quick as me, I was in work for 8 weeks when I lost my job, went up at Bruges, and obviously the disappointment of losing your job, but at Bournemouth as well. And I suppose he put a little bit of context and understanding on it, that he's obviously been in similar situations in that sense, really. And then obviously the general aura of someone like Thomas, who, incredible manager, incredible aura, seeing him work firsthand and picking up things from him and getting advice from him was pretty good, really.
I guess the Bruges experience was probably the most difficult of your short managerial career. What did you learn from that?
I'd like to give you something that I learned from it, but honestly, I can't. I was in a building, an organisation for 9 weeks. We had 10 league games. I lost 2 of them, drew 6 and won 2. And I never expected at that moment that something would end, or in terms of the way it did. So walking into a place in a different country, and after 9 weeks or 10 weeks of leaving it, you just don't know, because obviously there's just not enough time to have a real understanding of what you really learnt, really. So there was elements which was a good experience. Ultimately, at the end of it, it didn't work out, and it was a bad experience. But yeah, there was nothing really I can give you to say, and that's just down to time, really, because, like I said, 10 weeks or 9 weeks in a club, it's just, it's not enough time to really give you a real understanding of what, why, or yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Dan, John's question at the back.
Hi Scott, Dan Barnes from Lancashire Telegraph. I was reading an interview with Josh Cullen from a few years ago, talking about how you'd been a really big influence on his career and his style. Now, having the chance to work with him, do you think that obviously that experience that you've got will help his game and obviously help his role in the team?
Yeah, hopefully. definitely. And I like to think that's probably a lot of the players. This is an extremely young squad, a really young squad. Probably one need developing, and I think over the course of how I've managed some really young players in that sense, so I can definitely help them. And Josh probably fits right into that bracket as well. Similar positions as well, so probably an added bit there, which obviously hopefully I can help him with. Really looking forward to working with Josh along with all the players, to be honest with you. So a real open page for everyone in that sense, a new start, and I'm looking forward to getting on the training pitch really and putting the work in.
And Johan's return was a pleasant surprise for the supporters. What role did you have in that, and how much of a boost is that going into next season?
Well, I think it's a big boost, definitely. I think Johan brings some real experience, some real nous, and some understanding of the football club, and certainly in terms of a professional and where he is in his career, really. So yeah, there was a big part to play in that. Brings a real experience as well as a real quality as well. Someone I'm very familiar with when I played against him as well. So I'm hoping he can bring every bit of what I'm expecting him to bring, and I'm sure he will. So it'll be a massive help for us this year.
And you mentioned in your first interview how difficult it was as a player to come to Turf Moor. Now, how important for you is it to build that fortress mentality next season?
So important. It'll be fundamental for us if we're going to be successful, really. So this is a stadium that I've played at, I've managed at, and a fan base that when it gets going, it's a very difficult place to come, really. So I think I've said many a time, really, that a real true character of someone is when things ain't going too well in them moments. And like I've said before, and I said it in my previous interviews, the fans here and the supporters here have got a vital role to play for us. They're the supporting mechanism that every one of the players need, I need. They can be the driving force, and it can be the difference. You may think it's cliche in what I'm saying, but this is exactly the truth, really. So I'm hoping they get behind us. I suspect, and I have no doubt they will, because that's what they are in that sense. My experiences from afar suggest that, really. So I'm looking forward to meeting them and letting them get behind us, like I said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.